So when you hear the words altered states of consciousness, you may think about free love and hippies and acid, or you may wax poetic about the heady days of flower children and bell bottoms. But some altered states have nothing to do with drugs and are more important than we think. Altered states of consciousness are mental states in which the mind can be aware, but it's not in its usual wakeful condition, such as during hypnosis, meditation, hallucination, trance, and the dream stages. Altered states allow us to see our lives and ourselves with a broader lens and from different angles of perception than the ordinary mind. Hello and welcome to Wyrd Awakenings. I'm Morgana Calder, and tonight I'm joined by awesome guys from Wyrd Folk, Tully and Cecil. And before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us. Check us out on WyrdRealities.net. You can find us on Linktree, linktr.ee at Wyrd Realities. That's Wyrd with a Y. Tell us what we're doing right, where we can improve, and what you'd like us to cover. Okay, guys, you get a whole minute to discuss your favorite mind-altering drug experience. Then we're going to move on to the more serious stuff.
One time, a very long time ago, I took a quarter of mushrooms, and I went out to the bathroom. I went outside to use the bathroom, and we live in the country. And when I came back in, I was like, man, everything out there looks like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. One of my friends said, I hope you didn't eat anything. And for some reason, it sent me down a spiral. So I laid on the couch, and I could see, I don't know if you recall the old Japanese drawings and old Chinese books and Japanese books of tigers.
Yeah.
But I seen that like it was snapping at me. Like a tiger was snapping at me, but it was in that drawing with rotating colors. And I laid on the couch for 8 hours, and I had to remind myself to breathe. And even when I opened my eyes, I could still see that tiger. And when I closed it, it was even worse. Like, it was insane. And I believe I was on the verge of finally breaking through to the alternate realm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, as far as altered states go, I think, well, as far as the interconnectedness of everything, I'll kick it off with probably string theory, that everything vibrates, at the molecular level, and, there are certain things that we can do to raise our frequency or lower it, for that matter, and end up on, in different streams of consciousness and interact with things that don't vibrate necessarily on our frequency. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I do think that depending on the state that you're in, it can go in so many different directions and so many levels. I would like to say that I had a great drug-induced experience at some point, but the best I ever did was seeing trails. I used to enjoy watching other people, go through their altered states and everything, but I was never able to reach that level with substances, natural, chemical, or anything else.
It's funny you bring up trails, because I've been sober 15, 20 years, but I still see trails sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
Yeah, like I said, and same. Every once in a while, especially, certain times of the year, certain times of the night, I can sit there and I can remember as a child, and this is a little off, but not really, it kind of ties into it. I can remember playing with my aura, the colors. I mean, just sitting there and watching the colors between my fingers, just kind of warp and meld and everything.
Do you think it's because when we're children, like, our energy is so new that, we've just been dropped off by, the universe. Mm-hmm. So maybe, like, we're still vibrating, at least at a closer frequency to what we would call a God frequency.
Yeah, I do. I think it's probably a combination of that. And as children, most of us haven't been taught yet what not to think. I was very lucky in, okay, not so much my mom. I love her to death. She's a wonderful person, but she's also the person that will not watch the movie Dogma because Alanis Morissette plays God and God is not a woman. So,
Sounds like my dad.
yeah, but my dad, on the other hand, I can remember talking about things that I saw, and instead of, oh, she's just got an imagination, he'd say, tell me about it. What do you see? What does it look like? Describe it to me. I mean, and he was always that way. So I feel like that's probably the reason that I was able to see stuff probably longer than a lot of kids do when they're small. And then, of course, I went through the stage of you didn't talk about that shit because people would push you away. And, then, the whole self-medication thing when you see and hear things that other people don't. And then finally to acceptance of, this is just part of who I am. But, yeah, I really do think a lot of it is that, the child's mind is so much more pure before it's been jaded and taught that it shouldn't do certain things or, see certain things, or if you do, don't talk about certain things.
I think it's interesting that you say that because there are stories of people who aren't spiritual,
Mm-hmm.
who will go to sleep and they'll start astral projecting.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's a topic that I've always been interested in, is because we've all had those vivid dreams where the landscape's crazy and the people in your dreams seem intelligent even though you've never met them before. And yeah, I know the mind's powerful, but it just, to me, sometimes whenever you start talking about dreams like that with sentient beings in your dream,
Mm-hmm.
like I have a hard time believing that that's all fabrication.
Mm-hmm. I agree, because as much as they say we use 15% of our brain, something in that general area, but I think people that do or can see and feel other things, it's a lot of it is because they what am I reaching for here? It's I don't know. It'll come back to me in just a minute. But yeah, like I said, I mean, yeah, it's that they're closer to it, so therefore they can reach into it. I'm like you. I don't think it's all just made up. Too many people see it. Too many people experience it.
Yep.
And everything. So, and I will say, if I ever get the opportunity to do ayahuasca, I will, because I would love to see, the people that I've spoken to that have done it and the accounts I've read and everything. I think that would be a very powerful experience.
I think we've talked about this, but
I can't remember what your all's decision was on when we talked about it, because apparently when you do that,
that's what I was going to
you
bring
either
up.
puke a lot or you have uncontrollable diarrhea.
Mm-hmm.
Which one would you prefer to have?
Puke for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, not that I want either one for any reason, but
Imagine you're in a group of people and you just start uncontrollably shit.
That'd be fun to me in a way.
Oh God.
Plus you're like in this world, like it. That'd be horrible.
But here's the thing: there's a group of you and 58 other people, and they're doing it too. Not like they can really judge.
True.
And when you leave there, nobody has to know. What happens in the temple stays in the temple.
I just think
unless I'm there and tell everybody about it.
Yeah, Cecil has snuck his phone in and is recording everything.
Yeah, I don't think the smells and sounds would be conducive for a good experience.
But the thing about it is, as many people as I've talked to and everything, nobody's ever focused on that. It's always what was revealed and what they learned about themselves and things like that.
That's true.
It's kind of like doing DMT and seeing the purple lady or something.
Yeah.
That's a common experience that people run into. It seems like. I don't know. Go ahead.
I saw a video the other day. where the person said that they done DMT and they saw sentient beings who were extremely well trained at fighting, and they beat him to death. And he said that it spent 3 years trying to heal from that spiritually. And in the comments, somebody was like, "What you need to do is just train really hard and go back."
Well, yeah, and the thing is, that is the main psychotropic in most of the ayahuasca blends is a DMT derivative.
Oh, I've done DMT before.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, I mean, there are some other things too, but yeah, DMT is what most of the plants supply.
I've done what was described as DMT to me. Back in my youth.
I feel like it's pretty hard to find.
Well, yeah, that's the reason I'm saying it. It was described as DMT to me. We're in southeastern Kentucky, and somebody sold me some DMT, so I'm not for sure that's what it was.
It's like somebody told me one time, you know, that they had started doing ecstasy, and they're like, "Oh, do you want me to pick you up some?" I'm like, "No, that's okay. Y'all go ahead." And she was like, "Well, you know, it's hit or miss on whether it's any good." And I'm like, "Okay, you're fixing to spend $20 a hit for something that might be aspirin and might be something worth doing."
Right.
And they're like, "Well, yeah." I'm like, "Go ahead. Y'all have fun." You know?
Not that we condone doing any of the drugs that we're talking
Correct.
No. You know,
Don't
but
do these kids.
do not do drugs. That is correct. You know,
They can lead you down a bad.
I you know, I've been a few laws back in my younger days, so
I wasn't expecting that from that. That's in a chill down me right then. Like my whole body warmed up taking a drink off that. No, it's good.
okay. So, when you personally, outside of, you know, the chemically induced, what is the first thing that you think of when you start thinking about altered states?
Astral plane, like that's my dream. I feel like I've almost accomplished it a couple times. Like I continuously try, and I don't think I've got the mind for it. Like when I did mind altering substances and stuff, it took a lot to really do anything to me. Like, and I feel like there's something blocking me from being able to do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, similar for me. There was back when the internet was alive and you could get different things with search results and go down the rabbit hole on stuff. There was a website, and the name of the website escapes me now, but there was a whole section on astral training, and part of it was almost like a meditation, but there was a circle that you stared at, and the circle had like it was a red circle, and you were supposed to imagine that as a tunnel. And I remember staring at that thing for so long, and meditating on that for so long, because I also studied meditation a lot when I was younger, that you could actually start to see things in the tunnel. And that kind of spooked me a little bit as you know, because originally I just started it as like a heebie-jeebie thing, you know.
It's soft.
Right.
But there's definitely training you can do. But, you know, I also believe that the whole world is working against spiritual experiences like that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it could be a situation where all the electricity and everything is built like a cage to keep you from being able to do it, too. It's completely possible. Like, I have gotten to a point now to where if I realize I'm in a dream, I can take control of the dream.
Mm-hmm.
It's taken like 10 years to do that.
Yeah. I also, and I don't know how much, I don't think we've ever talked to Morgana about like whether you've done any like dream work type stuff.
Yeah, I do lucid dream. Like I said, like Cecil was talking, you know, actually realize, hey, I'm in a dream and able to guide it where you want it to go and things like that. I can honestly say back when I was more active with all of my friends that are, you know, of the same mindset, it was much easier for me to travel and project and everything. I mean, we would actually do little, you know, like test. Okay, I want you to come see me tonight and tell me what's sitting on my bedside table. What was I wearing when you got there? That kind of thing. And it's amazing how much of that you can actually see when it's something you're constantly working on with a group of people.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this. And Cecil mentioned it a second ago, just all the waves that they put into the air now, like all the electricity that's in the air, the Wi-Fi, the phone towers everywhere.
Yep.
I feel like as the years have went by, it's gotten more and more difficult, especially where I live is very close to one of said towers, and the internet's crazy strong now.
Mm-hmm.
Not here.
But that's one of the things I was thinking about for the summer, and it's just getting back out in nature. Like I've started getting some fishing stuff, like just to because Rachel is hit or miss on fishing, but at the very least I could go and just be in nature by myself and be present in nature again.
Yeah.
I would like to have higher internet speed. They have to pack our internet out here with a horse and buggy. Slow.
Well, I absolutely love to fish as long as I have a book with me. I don't have the patience for fishing, but now I do love, my husband does kayak fishing. So I do like to get in my kayak and go, out and just, like say, spend time on the water and everything like that.
Yeah.
I can spend the day doing that. And I agree with you. I'm not outside nearly as much as I used to be. And that's huge. Just being able to make that connection with nature. Walk outside with your shoes off and just ground.
Yes. That last year, that was another thing. And we talked about this the other week. When we were youngins, we used to run around barefooted all the time. And now, nothing's natural, and everything from like architecture, being dull and bland, just everything that like our eyes see has changed over the last 20 years.
Yeah, McDonald's used to have all them colorful popping colors, and now it's all gray. I don't get it. They're trying to draw in kids, I guess, back then. Now, where all us fat kids that ate McDonald's grew up, they're just like, they'll take gray.
Here's a rabbit hole to go down that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But if you're ever wanting a good rabbit hole to go down, look at how much meat McDonald's has to produce to fulfill the orders they get.
Mm-hmm.
And then look at their, like, they use numbers, like figures that are impossible. Like, there's no way that the world could produce enough meat for all of the fast food places. Think about it.
Unless they're lying about how much they're selling.
They're either lying about how much they're selling, or it ain't meat.
My favorite,
it ain't what they're saying it is.
And this is continuing on the down rabbit hole of food conspiracies in restaurants. After seeing that one about Long John Silver's, I'm 100% convinced that Long John Silver's is a front for a marijuana business.
It is. A cartel. Yeah. It's a cartel front. There's you can actually trace it back to the dude who bought it and his connections with the cartel. But nobody's ever at Long John Silver's yet.
Long John's is one of those things where it's like it's a guilty pleasure to where like you wait to see if anybody you know's around, then you try to get through the drive-thru as fast as you can, so nobody knows you're eating Long John's.
Well, here's the thing. Up until recently, the only Long John Silver's that I know of on the coast was inside of a KFC.
It's the same company.
Yeah,
exactly. But you could order off of either menu. And I'm like, okay, but they both sell chicken. Why would you have two chicken places in the same place?
That'd be dope. Get you some crispy fried chicken from KFC and get some of them cracklings from Long John poured in there.
So I've never been a Long John's fan, but to each his own.
It's an acquired taste.
Okay.
And sometimes they produce what's known as LJSs. They're Long John Silver's farts. Then they smell
Uh-huh.
just like Long John Silver's.
Okay.
That sounds
I'll
terrible.
have to take your word for it.
Miserable.
Totally about ready to smell one in a few minutes.
But yeah, what is it? KFC, Long John Silver's,
Taco Bell.
Pizza Hut.
Mm-hmm.
They're all owned by Pepsi,
Mm-hmm.
and Pepsi's either owned by BlackRock or Vanguard.
That's what I was getting ready to say. It's
can't-
probably on my Black Rock.
But yeah, the same people who owned Lockheed Martin.
Yeah.
But
We do have one of those down here.
there you go.
Pits.
Yes.
Is there like a regional? I'm sure there's like a regional restaurant that where you live that we probably don't know about.
Okay. Do y'all have crystals up there?
I think Crystals was started in Kentucky.
Okay.
It blows my mind how many restaurants are actually started in Kentucky too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking it's all well. No, not really. KFC, Taco Bell, McDonald's, Burger King,
Oh, okay. Usually there's like
Chick-fil-A.
regional. Like, do you know what Skyline Chili is?
No.
So that's like a Midwest
Disgusting.
regional restaurant. It's awesome, amazing. They sell little hot dogs.
The perfect that kills me. Now, my husband does not like Hardee's at all. But you let him get out west and he will eat Carl's Jr. at every flippin' one he comes across.
It's the same thing.
It's the exact same thing. But he will argue with you about that they are not the same. I'm like, how the hell can you say they're not the same? It's the same damn logo.
Does he still travels, don't he?
Yes.
Does he like Whataburger?
He's not a huge fan of Whataburger.
Oh.
I mean, he'll eat it, but it's not his first choice.
They don't have Whataburgers here. So every time I was in Texas, I would always make it a point to go to Whataburger. I think Whataburger is better than In-N-Out.
I've never had In-N-Out.
I've never had any of that.
But anyway, Morgana, what about you?
What about me? Like I said, no, I have in the past, like I said, done actual astral travel. I've also, and I find this, I tend to have less control over. I have what I consider gone out and thought, like physically thought. And I mean, I've woken up with bruises and I have woken up with like handprints on me before.
Just from like what you did in like your dreams?
Yes.
Or were you like trying to, were you like meditating?
No, it was actually during sleep and everything. And I think I've told you this in the past. I differentiate between whether something's just a fluffy dream or if it's past life and like that. So this is kind of another dimension of that. And like I said, I don't do it nearly as much now as I used to. But it would just be out, just going out, just traveling, and then coming across other travelers or, different groups or whatever, and, all hell breaking loose type thing. And like I said, you wake up and you're like, good God, I'm dying here. And then you look down and you've got, a fist mark on your arm. Huh?
That's wild.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask, more often than not, do you think it was other travelers or things that weren't of this world?
I think it was more things that were not of this world. I think it was more people out traveling, encountering these things, and I guess for lack of a better way of putting it, to keep it away from what I consider mine. So, to keep it away from my family, to keep it away from my world, that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. So like I said, and I don't do it as much as I don't do it often at all anymore. But yeah, that was just one of those things. And finally meeting people in person that had the same experiences and validating that is huge. Because, you're like, okay, I'm losing my mind. I can't even blame my husband for beating the hell out of me in my sleep because he's not here, and everything. So, and he's kind of like, we've talked about our spouses, thinking we're out of our damn minds most of the time.
Yep.
I can remember him getting pissed off at his stepfather back many years ago. And his mom saying something about, well, he's been having these nightmares about this, this, and this. And he goes, well, just tell him to quit pissing me off. And I'm like, you asshole. Hey, he'll just turn around and walk away. It's like, that's his thing. Just leave him alone. He doesn't want to talk about it, but, so I'm like, yeah, you jackass.
It's crazy how altered state consciousness work too, because it can be as extreme as like walking in the astral planes or whatever, or it can be like there was a period in my life where I think I was going through a depression. I don't know for sure because I didn't feel depressed, but I felt like I lived in a cartoon. Like, have you ever felt like that before? Like everything you look at just seems cartoonish to you, like,
or not cartoonish so much as surreal.
Yeah.
Not cartoonish for me. Like sometimes I'll have those moments where I'm like, none of this is real.
Yeah.
Like it's just like almost like a simulation type thing. Like,
I did that before I thought we lived in a simulation. Is the strange thing about like it just felt like nothing, like legit nothing was real. Like I'm not here. This isn't happening. Like blah blah blah.
Leads me. So, do you think that every person that you see has a soul?
No,
I don't either.
I don't. I don't know how to put into words what I think those people are, but they're not. They're not right.
Yeah, we call them NPCs because in video games it's just like the random bots that you see walking around. Like that nobody's playing. It's just the algorithm.
Yeah. And yeah, I see that. I mean, and like I said, I'm not real sure how to explain what they feel like besides, just nothing. I mean, there's something there, but it's not what I would consider a soul, whether human or otherwise. I mean, because there are people I see, and the first time I see them, I'm like, okay, dude's not human, not under at all, And I think that's, a soul that's come over from another realm or another place.
Was it you talking about kind of like the elevator of frequencies? I love that. I've used that so many times since we've talked about that in the first time.
Yeah, because I mean, like I said, and I guess I would consider just like plain dreams. That's about as low as it gets. That's just you're going to sleep and you're having this weird ass dream, and you wake up and go, "What the hell was that?" Or sometimes they're fun, And I think a lot of times that happens when you're just stressed out and stuff, and you need a break. That your mind takes you to a place where you can just kind of let things go. Have one for me. And that you can actually just let go for a little while and just have a good time, and maybe it's you've dreamed about a friend you haven't seen in a long time and y'all are just sitting around talking, and just doing whatever. But then I think
it is crazy how people are connected like that. Like the friendship thing. The other day I was thinking about somebody I haven't talked to him in probably 9 months, like legitimately. And I was sitting here working. And I was like, I wonder how he's doing. And then I get a text on my phone. And it was from him. I was like, oh my God. Like, do you think that has something to do with altered consciousness too?
Yeah, I think that I tell people this all the time. Some people look at me like I've lost my mind, and others are like, oh my gosh, you're so right. The universe listens. And what you send out, you're going to get answered in one way or another. So if you're constantly sending out negative bullshit, your life's going to be filled with negativity.
That explains it.
And I think it's the same, I think that people that you're connected to, especially on a soul level, that you're always connected, and then just sometimes, life gets in the way, and the connection's still there, you just kind of mute it. And then, like say, you start thinking about him and everything, and then something clicks on his end, and that connection's always there. It's I've talked to friends before about, and I think Tully, we may have spoken about this, about soulmates. I think there's a huge difference in a soulmate and what people call a soulmate, that love of their life type thing. That to me is not a soulmate. A soulmate is a group of people you had life after life with.
That's what I'm saying too. I've always thought that too. That soulmates was like friends and lovers,
and family and whatever, And like I said, you go through different lives together and different memories and stuff together. Or those people that you meet and you immediately connect to. There's a reason you're connecting, and it's not always just, hey, we're both on a weird ass show. Yeah. A lot of times it's just that there's a connection there because your souls know one another.
Yeah.
Me and Cecil were probably married in a past
life.
Yeah. Probably so. Mother and child, there are so many scenarios.
I feel like mother and child because sometimes it still feels like he's on my tit.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't answer to that. I mean, I'm accepting of all types, Cecil, all types.
That makes the most sense to me out of everything. That's honestly why I've always thought soul bonding was like soul mates.
Yes.
Cecil has something up on the screen right now that I think probably plays into this. Like if you think about monks and like the most spiritual people you can think about, most of them incorporate some sort of fasting in their diet.
Yes.
To be able to get closer to, whatever they're looking to get close to.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's just you being, also closer to death, or like, you know what I mean? Like maybe your body or your frequency changes or something whenever you are, fasting or like super sleep deprived.
Yeah, I agree with that because honestly, I do occasionally fast, and I feel so much better when I do. It's like it kind of like clears out the cobwebs type thing. And I try not to do the sleep deprived, but life does not always listen to me when I'm explaining we don't want to do this.
Right.
I'm better now. I mean, I went like years and didn't sleep more than 3 to 4 hours a night.
Yeah, I did that for a long time.
Yeah. And then for about a year and a half, 2 years, I slept about an hour and a half a night.
Didn't get that far.
Oh, yeah, it was bad. It was bad there for a while. And look, I've got a friend that goes a week at a time and doesn't sleep. And I'm like, how do you survive? Yes.
I would love to be able to function and not have to sleep for like a week at a time. That would be awesome.
Now, I didn't say she functioned. I said she does not sleep.
See, I love sleep, though.
I don't like it. I feel like things passing me by when I'm sleeping.
I got a lot more done when I slept 3 hours at night.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was always up to date on all the latest stuff. I mean, I kept 4 or 5 books a week read. I wrote poetry. I painted. I mean, I had so much time. Then I started sleeping 7, 8 hours a night. And I'm like, damn, I'm losing a lot of time here.
I think the true amount of sleep somebody needs to be truly productive is 5.5 hours.
Mm-hmm. So how do you get back to that then?
I'll do that now.
Okay. Well, to be honest, I quit wearing my Fitbit when it told me just how little sleep I actually get through the night. I probably get about 5 hours, but it's broken up into like 20-minute segments.
Yeah, with my sleep apnea, probably because I spend a lot of time going, like trying to get my breath back.
Gotcha.
I scared my wife. I woke up the other day gasping for air, and she freaked out, getting ready to call the emergency room. I was like, just let me die.
That's not in us, right? That would be giving up.
You don't want to pay that doctor bill now.
That's right. That's exactly right. But but yeah, like I said, and I think some people function better on less. I think some function better on 12 hours a night.
Yeah, that's me.
And
Um,
what's so sad is it's pretty much proven that the ancient humans, like when they were able to like walk in these different planes, when they were just truly able to tap into altered consciousness, they probably slept in 2 hour intervals, but probably did it like 4 times a day.
Actually, I just recently read something about that. They had found a manuscript from, the 1300s, and they were talking about the fact that they had, like, they would lay down, say 8:30 at night, sleep for 2 or 3 hours, and then wake up for 3 or 4 hours, and then sleep for a few more hours after. And they would call it the in between. That's where they would do the stuff that it was too hot to do during the day, or
Yeah,
getting things ready for the next day. And so that's actually how man slept
well, there's
until the modern age.
some cultures, like in desert climates or places where it's more hot, where they literally, that's where like the term night owl comes from. Oh, I
Mhm.
don't know if it comes from that. It evolved from that, um, because they would literally sleep during the day and work at night.
I love to
Mhm.
get back to that. Like, I love to be able to sleep from 8 till 10 and get up, well, even 8 to midnight and get up until like 2, and then get back up at 6 or something.
Yeah.
It'd be easy to do, and I feel like if you did it like that, you feel better. Because have you ever slept for like 4 hours and you got up to like, I don't know, use the bathroom or something? You're like, I feel pretty good right now, and then
Yes.
you go
Uh-huh.
back to sleep and you're like, man, when you get back up, you're like, I feel like trash.
Yeah. Wish I'd have stayed in the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a friend that's from Colombia, the country Colombia, and she would eat her lunch at like 12. About 12:15, she would go to her car and sleep for 20 to 30 minutes and wake up, because she grew up with siestas. And I'm like, how do you do that? I said, you get 20 to 30 minutes sleep. That would just piss me off. She goes, no, that's actually all you need to be refreshed. Anything more than that, and you're going to be tired when you wake up.
I never. So if I take a nap, I never nap for more than an hour, and
Yeah.
usually 30 to 45 minutes is kind of a sweet spot.
Yep.
My uncle used to call them fighter naps
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I guess when he was in the Marines, they used to. That's kind of what they did.
Yeah, well, she firmly, like I said, that's what they were taught growing up, and like I said, she did it every single day, because, like I said, I guess when you grow up taking a 20-minute nap for your entire life, and that's kind of a hard habit to get out of. And she went every day. She'd go out to her car year round and sleep for that 20 to 30 minutes, and then she'd come back in. She was good for the rest of the day. So I might have to try that next time I'm in a position where I can take naps.
My wife just altered the lightning in here. Now we have a light facing us.
Now we're being blinded.
Y'all look so bright and shiny faced. But and that's I can remember being taught, and everything growing up about the sleep cycle that we all go into. And they're like, okay, well, you sleep this, it's called this, and you sleep to that, but it's not until you hit REM about 4 hours in that you dream. That's bullshit. I can fall asleep for 10 minutes, shush, hush, and dream. I mean, full on dreams.
Same.
Yeah. And some of the best ones are in those little 10, 15-minute increments. And
When
everything.
it comes to dreaming, though, I feel like we really don't dream that long, because like the couple times I've been like thinking I was going to die or something, like time literally slows to almost a standstill. It's
Mhm.
insane. Like when I got hit by that car,
Mhm.
um, like I could see myself spinning, like it was in slow motion. But to everybody else, it's like, wow. And then I was just spun out into the road,
Mhm.
like it was insane. I
Yeah.
thought I was dead. That was a
Well,
strange alternate consciousness too, because when I stood up, I didn't know what had happened. And I'm like, well, I'm a ghost now. And I walked
mhm.
around for about 15 minutes thinking I was dead. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would think traumatic experiences would be a very huge mind altering experience,
I
that would
felt
throw you into
light.
an alternate
That
state.
dopamine hit.
Huh?
Yeah. I felt light. Like it felt like I was almost floating. It's weird.
Right. Right. Well, I'm going to tell you, okay, and this is just to add to this. I'm that person that I want a full blown ghost to walk up to me and say, "Hey, bitch, we're real."
Yeah.
I'm that person. So, of course, it hasn't happened to me. I have almost died twice. I mean, literally both times my family was told she's probably not going to make it and have had no inkling of a near death experience. And it pisses me off.
I wasn't nowhere near close to death. It just happened so fast, and I was like, "This is it," and that adrenaline kicks in.
Oh yeah, I could see it, but like I said, I've heard all of these people talk about, oh yeah, I saw a light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm kind of stay away from the lights. I remember that movie Poltergeist, the lights on the TV and the little girl getting sucked in and everything. So I don't think that everything light is necessarily good. I think people mistake light and dark and saying that's good and evil.
Well, they say that when you see your dead loved ones at the end of your life, if you follow them, that it brings you right back around into living again.
Yeah.
Now there is something to that too. This happened with my dad and my sister's dad. We got two different dads.
I've never heard of that before, Cecil.
That's how my mom liked to roll.
Good for her.
But both of them, before they died, which dad died during surgery or whatever. But the night before, he's like, "Get these people out of this room, man." He's like, "We can't have these people in this room." I was like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Mm-hmm.
And he was seeing people in the room. My sister's dad, he did the same thing. He's like, everybody just ran out the back door. He's like, "Where's everybody going?" He's like, "I thought we was having a party." What do you think that kind of altered consciousness is like? Do you think that's a foretelling, or what would that be to where they're seeing like just people?
Was he sick or something, or was he just?
Who, my sister's dad?
Yeah,
he's just old. He died the next day,
and he saw people in the house.
Yeah.
I think in some, and okay, now understand too, I'm also the person that believes that whatever you believe is going to happen to you after you die is what's going to happen to you. I think that it's all one big, deity. And when Cecil said, well, I think when you die that you go swim with mermaids, that Cecil's going to go swim with mermaids if that's what he truly believes in his heart.
That is pretty accurate.
Yeah. So I think if you are a diehard Christian that thinks if you're gay, you're going to hell, and you're a closet gay, then you're going to go to your version of hell. I think it's that supreme being will accommodate.
It kind of reminds me of how Preacher portrayed hell.
Yeah.
Like everybody got their own kind of world that they made for themselves, like in a hell loop.
Yes. Lucifer was like that too. The show Lucifer.
And
that's how everyone's hell was.
It does make sense, but the one thing that I do know for a fact, there is some kind, beyond everything, there is some kind of creator.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. But I don't believe that the Buddhists, the Christians, the Muslims, and the Hindus all have, a different supreme being. I think they call it a different name.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. I think I sent you guys that finally, the egg short.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of the same concept there.
I like that he's trying to be professional and have totally with the internet over here. He's just staring at a blank internet screen with this dinosaur, and every now and again make it hop over stuff.
So I think that some people, when they have reached the end of life and they're not 100% sure, or they're scared, or their mind has gone to a place that you or I can't see, that there are people there that they love and care about and trust, helping them go to where they need to go.
What is the Mexican belief in afterlife? I always forget it when I'm getting hammered.
What is the what?
Zeneria, yeah. That would be the one for me, but I just don't like the idea of you forgetting somebody and then dissipating. Because everybody's going to forget me, man.
Nobody will ever forget you that has met you, Cecil.
I think it's more like they're magic.
Yeah, I think it's in the same categories like hoodoo and voodoo and that kind of stuff. I think there's some religious aspects to it, but I think it's more magical, spiritual, that kind of thing. And I would like to get deeper into some of that because, I mean, I've been doing comparative religion, I think, since I was a teenager. And there are a lot of them that I've always been interested in. But I mean, that's like my poor son. My daughter, she got lucky and didn't get too much of it when she was at home. But then when she left it was just me and him most of the time. He got drugged to, the Buddhist temple, to Wiccan circles, to church. I mean, everything.
I really wanted to get into that whenever I was studying to become a preacher or whatever. And I started like trying to learn all the different religions, and somebody gave me a book of all the world's different religions with the basis of the religion.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like that thick.
Yep.
I was like, oh my God. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah. And like I said, that you can get really deep down in it. But the thing that I found in all of my years of researching is they're way more alike than they are different.
Oh, yeah.
Stories
are always kind of flush, like
yes,
different names and slight alterations.
Absolutely.
I would say Santeria is probably closer to voodoo than regular religion because normal people are worshipped in Santeria. Like they light those Santeria candles for. I mean, I've even seen them do it for drug lords and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if did you happen to listen to the Murders, Mysteries, and Mayhem we did on the New Orleans couple?
No.
We did one on, it was this couple in New Orleans. It's hilarious. The story's not hilarious, but we were talking, it was a big group of us on Weird Realities about places to go in New Orleans. And like I said, I don't live but about 45, 50 miles from New Orleans.
Oh, sweet.
And so, I mean, my husband and I, that's usually until COVID, that was our Christmas Eve tradition is we went to New Orleans because nobody's out on Christmas Eve. So you had the whole French Quarter and everything to yourself. And
everything's still open?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because they've got people coming in to buy last minute gifts and stuff, So we would always go Christmas Eve because they've got some cool ass general gem and mineral stores, and they've got, witchcraft stores. They have, all these different things. And I always tell people, go to Marie Laveau's for the experience.
God,
but
I'm terrified.
It's really a very commercial establishment. To me, it doesn't have that feel like.
You think it'd be heavy as hell walking in there.
Yeah, and it's really, to me, it's not. But I was telling Hadley and everybody, I said, there's this one place, though, it's the Voodoo Museum. I said, and it is phenomenal. The energy is great. You walk in, they've got all of these different altars to these different, gods that they worship and everything. You can leave monetary offerings, or you can light candles, and it's just a big old mess because, all these letters and stuff people have left for them and stuff, but they don't touch them. They leave it just like you leave your offering. Huh. And she goes, what is it called? And I said, it's the Voodoo Museum. She goes, is it kind of a yellowish looking building? I'm like, yeah. So she sends me this picture. She goes, is this it? I'm like, yeah. She goes, that's not what you're feeling. There was a murder upstairs from there. And I'm like, wait, what? This guy literally cooked dismembered, necrophiliacs, and everything with his fiance right after Katrina.
I love that when you said necrophiliac, that little
the phone. There you go. But like I said, I mean, it was just like, I'm like, I have gone into that place 1,000 times and never knew that story. So we actually did a Murders, Mystery, and Mayhem on that because of that conversation. And I'm like, I still recommend it. I think it's awesome. But now evidently they do like a ghost tour in it. So
is it weird that anytime I hear about cannibalism, I'm wondering what kind of spices they use?
Well, evidently he used a lot of them. I mean, to the point where they couldn't identify certain parts of her body without testing because it was so coated in spices and stuff.
I bet
So
all
I
you needed was slap your mama. That's some good stuff.
probably, but I would not eat barbecue for years after watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Made me hungry.
Yeah, I don't know, like, the whole, which, we should probably do an episode on this sometime, but the whole lore behind Wendigos and
Yeah.
skinwalkers revolving on cannibalism.
Yeah, yep, that would be cool.
Mad human disease. You eat too much human, you go crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, it does something to your brain. It actually physically changes the chemistry in your brain.
Yeah.
So maybe that's part of the transformation.
Yeah, you just have to eat a little bit.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah, it's that's something, and I always said, that movie where they were up in the mountains going skiing, the plane wrecked alive, I think was the name of it. Yeah, and they were talking about, they had to eat their friend. I'm like, okay, here's my thought process. I would be so far down that mountain when I got that hungry that my friend would be perfectly safe. So I'm not saying that would never happen.
I always wondered, like on these ones where they get trapped in mountains from plane crashes or the Dahmer party or anything, why didn't they just sled off the hill?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I'd rather risk it sliding down the hill than eating people.
Yeah, because like I said, how much worse off are you? Roll down and make a big snowball. By the time you get to the bottom, you're cushioned.
Yeah.
And then the rescue dogs can come get you.
I think we should also we should do a whole episode sometime just on parapsychology.
Yeah.
The hypnosis stuff.
Well, and that's the thing is too, they really got started in on the whole concept of altered states when they started doing hypnosis on people back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. That's when they started comparing the different realms of reality and everything.
So kind of like putting everything to test. Like astral projection and past lives and everything else.
Right. Well, because they had the whole thing with the government and remote viewing back. What was it, during the Cold War?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they probably still do it too.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I bet all big countries do it.
Oh yeah. There's no way they couldn't because it works. So why would you not try to manipulate that as much as you could? From a military standpoint or a government standpoint.
Ain't it crazy to think, like, they started experimenting with LSD, like the 40s? Imagine the drugs they have invented now just for military personnel for remote viewing. They've had to crack something by now.
Probably those weird, like, how DMT only lasts like 20 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes? They probably have those chambers, like, what was the Montauk Project?
Yeah.
Those deprivation chambers.
And yeah.
Like,
you know what?
DMT on DMT.
That deprivation chamber would probably be the quickest way to do anything like that, honestly.
I would love an hour in a deprivation chamber.
Foreman did it.
Yeah.
He said, which Foreman's not at all spiritual. Not spiritual. He doesn't believe in anything, I don't think. We've talked about it a couple times, but he said that it was the most relaxing and at peace, like stress-free moment he's ever had.
See, I could see that. Totally see that.
Because you feel like you're floating in nothingness.
Well,
I could see it going completely wrong for me because I'd sit in there and then one thing would creep in my mind and I'd just start freaking out.
Well, yeah, I don't know how familiar you are with empathy, physical, being able to feel what other people feel.
No.
It is, it's
empath.
Yes. That is a very difficult personality. I don't know if you call it personality, but it's very difficult to be empathic around people because you pick up people's moods. So if somebody's around you in a pissy negative mood, that's the mood you're going to pick up, and to be able to block that out would just be phenomenal. But my husband and I went to the Lost Sea up in Tennessee back several years ago, and they said, that you would go crazy inside of just a couple of hours in there because it was pure dark. And then they turned off all the lights, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, they did that at Mammoth Cave
Uh-huh.
when I went. It was really trippy.
Yeah.
Mammoth Cave is a portal to center Earth.
Yeah. I could see that. I mean, look, they can't find where the water goes out of
Devil's Kettle.
Yeah.
We got a place like that about 5 miles down the road called Short Creek. It's the shortest creek in the world, but they don't know where the water goes.
Right.
Yeah. They've thrown everything in the world into the Devil's Kettle.
Yes, they have. They've sent dye through it. They've put fish in there, hoping they'd come out the other end.
There is a cave at Mammoth Cave. Now that you mentioned that, there's a cave you're not allowed to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And they say it's because there's African bats that live in it. But I guess if it's a portal.
Yeah. You'd want to keep people out of that. But, that's like they've got all of these white albino fish because you get in the boat and go across, and they've got the glass bottom, and then they've got lights and stuff. That's wicked looking, or those crazy looking fish. So you're like, okay, are those really just albinos because they're in the dark, or are those just some kind of fish? Nobody knows what the hell they are.
After we get done with this, Morgana, I got something I want to show you because it leads to the cave talk he's just talking about.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
So we'll talk about that post. And maybe one day you people out there get to hear about it.
Yeah.
Keep tuning in.
There you go. All right, guys. I think that's going to give us our time tonight. Anything you want to end with?
I'm sure this won't be the last time we'll talk about this.
No.
Because even with what we just talked about in an hour, we've barely scraped the surface.
Yes.
And there's professionals out there that we could probably get on here too, like that have studied this for years that will go insane.
Well, I think Caitlin is empathic, if I'm not mistaken. Which I told you I want to get her on anyway.
Yeah, and Hadley's friend, the shaman, would be good for because she does the shamanic journeying and everything. So that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm good.
And if you're out there and you can try to, it's not a bad idea to try to do some of this stuff to get back to the roots of what humanity was.
Agreed.
Not the drugs,
but
like the meditation, the just freeing your mind and trying to live a better life, basically.
I think the problem is some people just haven't ever been in touch with that to know what they're missing out on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think maybe if all of us as a group, as a race would get out there and get more in touch with that we'd see a lot of change in the world.
For sure.
Agreed.
Because like I said, you start getting people to realize the power that they have inside. It's really freeing, but then it makes you see everybody else in a different light too. So.
Agreed. All
right, guys, that's us for the night. Like I said, make sure you go and check us out on WyrdRealities.net. And until next time, stay weird.